walking into your bank and not being able to withdraw your own money out of it without an explanation of why you're spending it. Well, hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Land of Saints and Sinners with me, Richie Taylor, and the wonderful
Jojo Meadows.
It's a great time to have you with us because we're excited about tonight's episode because we're talking about cashless society. We've seen people being refused to withdraw money from their banks, even though they've shown ID, they've shown all the necessary paperwork. But of course, there was one a couple of weeks ago, a guy was buying a motorbike for his son and the bank refused to give him his own money. And the question is, why are the banks doing this? Why are they controlling our finances? And why are we moving towards a cashless society, Jojo?
Well, obviously, it's all to do with the New World Order. It's to do with the Great Reset, the 2030. We are speeding up towards 2030. They recognise that we're kind of sort of catching wind of what they're up to and what they're doing. And I think they are really putting the pressure on at the moment. I think they're really trying to, sort of stamp down and clamp down on a lot of things, not just digital.
Well, the digital thing is important, isn't it? Because, mind you, I forgot my tinfoil hat because I'm a conspiracy theorist and when we talk about this kind of stuff, but we're not really because it's happening. When you consider on our phones, I mean, what have we got on our phones at the moment?
So we've got our wallets, so we've got our Apple Pay, we've got our bank details on there, we've got everything about it. So like all of my login passwords on there, you have the keychain, everything about me is literally totally involved with this phone.
And how much time do we spend on our phones? You got two.
I got three.
She got two phones.
I got three.
She got three phones. She uses two. Yeah, she does. And she goes boom, boom, boom like this. How she does, I don't know.
So, I don't want to look at it. I know that there's a lot of time. The general consensus that people do spend a lot.
And it's interesting as well, so many people know this, don't they? If you go on Facebook or any social media, you start talking about a subject, and all of a sudden you get these adverts, holidays, cars, things you're talking about. Yeah. So they're listening to us.
Yeah, thinking. I've actually thought things. I thought, I'd like to do this. And then the next thing, I've looked on Facebook, and there it is. How are they even doing that?
No, you definitely need a tinfoil hat. That's the new frequency stuff, that is.
It is?
Yeah, it is.
Aha! You're catching up, Mr. Taylor.
I'm catching up. Yeah, well, this is why we got this, just in case. It's called the No Grid Survival Project. This is great if you want to go off grid. So,
but then for me,
we're not being sponsored to say this. Okay?
No, we're not. But for me, I have to have the skin prepper because I am totally brassy.
Well, that's that. Hopefully somebody will send us some money soon so we can get better cameras and lighting. But anyway, we want to talk about this because it is a serious subject because, of course, we're being monitored. Yeah. We're being, this nanny state, isn't it? We've seen it during the COVID pandemic, when people were on their phones and they would send alert messages and stuff like that. So it's kind of like, why does the government want to get involved in the privacy of ordinary citizens like us? Why is there a drive for a cashless society to get rid of cash altogether and use, call your mobile phone or, we got cards still, but I think they're on the way out and everything will be on your phone. Your passport, your driving license, everything will be on your phone, literally. And they can track and trace you at any time or any moment. Why are they doing it?
It's all about control, isn't it? I mean, it has to be about control because what other reason would they be doing it? So, we know the agenda is huge and it's already been allocated and kind of like thought out from years and years ago. This is doing my head in.
Your phone is buzzing like mad. See, we're talking now and your phone's going off.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's right. Put it on airplane mode. She should have done that before filming. But, that's Georgia for you. I'm glad she only got a one phone here. It's like playing tunes otherwise. So it's about control, isn't it? And it's about, I suppose, a lot of people will talk about the Great Reset you mentioned, 2030 is coming, and this one world government. Now, for those that may not know, there is some teaching within Christianity that talks about the end times. And
just really quickly, I used to go to church and I really felt fearful of the book of Revelation. And actually, I know that a lot of people are talking at the moment, I mean, whether they're Christians or non-Christians, whether they believe in the Bible or they don't believe in the Bible, there's actually just kind of some truth that is coming from that, which is like you can see the end times happening. Now, you've read Revelation, you know all about it. So tell me, is it happening?
Well, I don't say I know all about it. If you imagine Game of Thrones on steroids, right? That's kind of like the book of Revelation, right? So, but for theologians, and I studied theology, there's a lot of symbolism, but a lot of truth in there as well. So there's certain events that will take place in what we call the end times. The theological word is eschatology. And the idea is that there will be an antichrist, this globalist leader of the whole world, and he will dominate and control the whole entire population, if you like. And he'll do it through a mark called the mark of the beast. And in the book of Revelation, there's a scripture that says, you will not be able to buy or sell without the mark of the beast.
Which is part of the digital currency.
Which digital currency and on your phone as well, so they're able to say, look, you can't buy food unless you can't buy it with cash because we're going to get rid of it. You can't buy it with credit cards, we're going to get rid of those. You have to use digital ID. I mean, you think about biometrics, right? We've got facial recognition already, all these things. So the whole entire population, we got this in China, not just in, developed countries, it's everywhere. I mean, everyone has a phone. I mean, so when it talks in the Bible about the mark of the beast, it doesn't mean a literal mark. That's symbolic.
Not the 666 then?
No, a tattoo.
So what does the 666
forehead
mean?
I mean, it's just the number. 6 is the number of man. It's called numerology, right? So it's the number of man. But it's not going to be like that. I think it's going to be more along these lines. But it's interesting that the Bible talks about it. Yeah. But it's you have to dig deep into that, which we're not going to do. This isn't a Bible study. You can chill. We've had plenty of those, but it didn't work for us really. But I'm going back to church now anyway. But yeah, I think it's a global agenda, isn't it? It's because they want to know where you're going, what you're doing, what you're spending your money on. And they want to be able to control us. And we've been asking the question, why? And we've been trying to figure out why.
Mm-hmm. I'm still there pondering, like, why is it that there's going to be one government, which is like a global government, that then dictates and controls what we eat, what we drink, how we behave, and they can actually stop us from having monies. What is the rationale that they want? I mean, again, we go back to the same comment that we've said again and again: have nothing and be happy. This is like also confusing. Like, why would that make me happy to have absolutely nothing? Like, why are they trying to brainwash us to do what they want us to do? I still don't quite understand that pure agenda, but I know it's real and I can see it coming into play.
And the government as well, some of their suggestions of why they want this digital ID and currency as well to be, basically one. I think it's a one world currency, one world government, one world army, one world political order, if you like.
Yeah.
Which the Bible talks about having and control. But the government, we wrote down a few things. I mean, the reasons why they're saying it's the benefits. They're saying these are the benefits of having, a digital ID tied to your passport, your credit cards, your bank. And some of the reasons they've mentioned are enhanced security. Well, we know that's not true because people are getting scammed online. So exactly. That's a false thing already. So BBC Verified, we just verified it for you. Right? That's not true. What other things did they say?
So there's improving transparency. So it tracks the spending and illegal activities. So that kind of like helps that. Reduce costs.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the digital versus bank. So less costs, you're not having to kind of incur costs. And then the convenience.
Convenience one. And the other one was to do with you're not handling cash, you're not passing germs or viruses and all that. So it's kind of like, I mean, it goes back to the vaccine time, lockdowns and all that, because they controlled us then. You couldn't buy certain things. In Wales, certainly, I remember Mark Drakeford, the old emperor, I used to call him, down in Catholic Day. We're not friends, but he told people what was essential and non-essential. So you couldn't buy certain goods. The aisles were taped up.
So what was essential and what was non-essential?
Well, non-essential things like baby's clothes was non-essential.
What?
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. They had them taped up and covered over, classed as non-essential. I mean, birthday cards and things got non-essential. So you could only buy essential goods. You still didn't see in store. I mean, it was just nuts, the whole mask wearing lockdown. I was anti-vax anyway. Actually, I still am. That's just my preference because I don't want the jab. I've never had vaccines, don't need them. I'm not interested in them. And I've never caught COVID either. Never in my life, never caught a cold.
Bless you.
Thank you very much. But that's just me. Everyone's got a different opinion, I appreciate it. But the way the government did that, they pushed it through. If you don't have the vaccine, you can't travel.
Yeah.
So coercive behaviour.
Totally coercive.
Controlling us. And I think it's the same with this.
Because then that's all diminished now. Like that's no longer, in place. So all these people that were doing it just for, the travelling purpose are now regretting it, to be honest. Yeah. And so I'm looking at kind of all of these other things that are going to be happening in this 2030 agenda. Again, obviously the cashless society is a massive factor in it. And I think if people don't stand up now, I think years on, people are going to start to regret not making a noise. That's my opinion, because obviously if that lockdown was a complete farce, and I know that some people died, I know some people lost their lives, to illness, and I totally appreciate that not everybody's going to agree on this kind of, our ideologies on this. However, I just think that if people don't make a noise and actually understand what's really happening, then they're going to regret it.
But a lot of people did die. But what I found kind of interesting was, when the BBC were pushing this thing, so many hundreds of thousands, they were scaremongering people, And I noticed as well the numbers weren't true, because you go to hospital. A friend of mine, his dad passed away from a heart attack, but on the death certificate, he had died with COVID. So it was as if he died from COVID, but he didn't. He died with COVID, but the cause of death was a heart attack. So the figures were out there, and they were completely wrong.
They're completely wrong.
And there've been huge injuries, vaccine injuries, which a lot of people have spoken out against. But we're not going to talk about vaccines necessarily today. It was about this cashless society. You've had a friend experience this, haven't you?
Yeah. So she went to a bank recently, and she asked to get, I think it was 5,000 out of her bank account, and she wanted to go and buy a big van, and she wanted to go travelling. She wants to renovate it, and they wanted to know the name of the person she was purchasing it from. She wanted to know the exact amount that she was giving, to make sure there was no surplus, this way, and so she could actually go buy it. And my friend was just like, no, like I want my money out. I shouldn't have to tell you where it's going. But they're now demanding to know where your money is actually being channeled. So I can't take it out to go and buy a car or a bike unless I have the specific car and the specific, sort of seller, so that I can tell them.
Well, they're doing that with benefits, because this week as well, the PIP, is it? Personal Independence Payment.
Yeah.
They're talking about, the government at least looking at, we want to know where you're spending your money. Well, it's none of your living business where people spend their money. The people generally need that support, who can't work for mental health reasons or physical or whatever reasons they have. That money's there to help them to live independently.
You see, PIP isn't means tested. So, the point is, if they feel that they need the money, the extra money, I know people that have it because they need, sort of to get more appointments at hospital, and they have to have certain kits to help them, in their illness. And to be able to have to kind of like justify, well, actually, I decided to have a bottle of wine just to relax my nerves. Why are we having to, explain to them exactly what we're doing with our money? What is that not encroaching our privacy?
Well, it's like us asking Keir Starmer, where does he spend his money?
What a good question.
Keir, where are you spending your money?
I'd like to know.
We'd like to know. Send it in to us. Let us know, and we'll let us know. We've got some ideas, but we'll talk about that on the way back later from the studio. But it's this whole globalist agenda that we've already mentioned, and we want people out there to tell us, because we're learning. It's a brand new podcast, and we're learning along the way, and loads of stuff is coming up. Stuff is blowing my mind away. I'm going to have to start wearing a tinfoil hat.
I think you should,
because I'm going to be classed as a conspiracy theorist. I can see it happen. I was
far
anyway.
Right conspiracy.
Oh yes, I'm far right as well, but I'm not the thug, am I, Giorgio?
No,
far
not all the time.
But on a serious note, it is quite serious what's happening, because it's about coercing people, controlling people.
Can you just say coercive again?
It's
coercive.
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 It's because I'm Welsh, love. That's why. Just for you viewers that know, if I come out with a word wrong, my caveat is I always say it's because I'm Welsh, and they go, oh yeah, it's because he's Welsh.
But just say coercive, yeah?
Coercive, yeah, that's the one, yeah.
Okay.
Controlling.
Coercive and controlling behaviour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's really what it's about, isn't it? And I think, but we wanted to know why, didn't we? What is the reason?
I want to know why. I think just trying to get right to the bottom of it. What is this kind of huge agenda? Yes, we know that 2030 is happening. Yes, we know that we're seeing things come into fruition that they've said is going to happen. But why? What is the real deep, dark agenda? Now, I think we were talking about earlier the Antichrist, and obviously, again, this is not a biblical thing, but people are starting to wake up to that and say, actually, the mark of the beast, the Antichrist. What is the platform? Are we bringing something forward so that the Antichrist can reveal himself? I don't know how it works.
Well, the idea is, if you go back to Tony Blair, the 90s, when he wanted to be the president of Europe, he wanted a European army, and the EU was seen as a kind of like a precursor to the end times in the Bible for some people. Some people believed that the Pope was like the Antichrist. There was loads of like stuff going around in theological circles and stuff of that nature. I mean, a lot of it's been debunked now, obviously. But I think it's more political, and the spiritual and the political, they're not separated. I mean, they're very closely linked because it has a huge impact. There's been a great awakening amongst young people on the spiritual stuff in recent months, age from 18 to 24. We discussed it on the last episode. If you haven't watched it, check it out. But we discussed that. I think it's kind of like, we look at like leaders around the world, these global leaders like Trump and like Putin and,
let's not talk about. He's no leader.
No, he's not a leader. We can think of a lot of words for him, but leader he's a tool. Well, he's a son of a tool maker, and I won't mention what kind of tool I think he is. But anyway, I'm kind of worried and concerned because young people use phones. People are on their phones all the time, right? I mean, you use your phone excessively, Joe.
Thank you very much. Yeah,
but it's for research purposes.
Of course it is.
Well, I know. So, she's got 2 phones, by the way. Three
phones. Let's get it right. If we're gonna like throw him into the bus, let's just get it right.
I've just got the one we're recording on. So it's because they stopped my pip. Anyway, so we want to know from the audience.
Absolutely, I want to know why you think that the 2030 agenda and the cashless society. What is it? The main rationale, the main reasoning behind it. I want to know. Do you want to know?
I definitely want to know because I think there's more brains out there than there is here. And certainly with me, not with you. You're the intelligent one. You're the articulate one. I'm just a Welshman. Lots of exciting things coming in the future. Don't forget to follow us on
X, TikTok.
I don't know. Choose again.
X, you call me intelligent. X, TikTok, and YouTube.
That's it. Don't forget to follow us. All the information will be on this video, and we'll see you soon on another episode of The Land of Saints. It's goodbye from me, Richie, and
goodbye from me, Jojo.
Isn't she wonderful? Bye.